to Lead Pods, the official leadership podcast from USMB for pastors and church leaders, where our goal is to increase our impact together.
Hello, my friends, and welcome to the USMB Lead Pods. You guys, we've made it to 70 episodes. This is our 70th episode, so thanks so much for listening today and along the way. My name is Matt Ersman, and grateful to be your host once again. And today I'm excited to share a conversation with you that I recently had with someone that some of you may know, Henri Ngolo. Henri is USMB's new integrated immigrant coordinator, and he's working with immigrant leaders who are coming to the States and establishing churches, and specifically MB churches. You've probably heard a lot about this in the recent months, as this is kind of a thing that the MB family is really focusing on. Henri is such a great guy. He's got a great story. He comes from the Democratic Republic of the Congo, and so he's got a great story of how he got here and how he's starting to lead some of these churches. And if you're pretty plugged into the USMB world, you maybe have heard that Henri's young son has had some health issues recently. So if you've been kind of following that story, he gives us an update here right at the top of the episode, so you can stay tuned to listen to that. But man, as more and more people are coming to our shores as immigrants and refugees, there's obviously a lot of work that needs to be done, but there's also so many opportunities. And so I'm really grateful that USMB is plugging into this and for Henri's great work. And as you'll find out here in just a minute, Henri calls the Church of Tomorrow churches of immigrants, right? We're going to have more and more people of variety of cultures, variety of backgrounds in our churches, and I think that's a really good thing. So I love the work that Henri's doing, and I think you're really going to enjoy getting to know Henri as well. So let's take a quick break and dive into my conversation with Henri Ngolo.
MB Foundation provides biblical financial stewardship solutions to the Mennonite Brethren community. We assist individuals, pastors, churches, and organizations in their gathering, management, and distribution of financial resources for Christ and His kingdom. Our services include planned giving, loans, fund management, investment certificates, and stewardship education. We are ready to serve you from our offices in Hillsborough, Kansas, and Fresno, California. If you'd like to learn how financial stewardship solutions could benefit you, visit www.mbfoundation.com or call us today at 1-800-551-1547. MB Foundation is pleased to partner with USMB to bring you this episode of Lead Pods.
All right, my friends. Well, today I'm excited to welcome back to Lead Pods. Henri Ngolo is joining us from Ohio. So if you've been listening for a while, you might remember Henri was on with us. It's been, I think, 2 years already, which is hard to believe. But Henri, it's good to see you and talk with you again, my friend. How are you today?
Good to see you, my brother. It's always my pleasure to come and see you, update you on what God is doing.
Yeah, it's awesome. Well, a lot has changed since I last talked to you, so I'm excited to dive into that a little bit, and we'll talk about your new role with USMB. But before we get too far, Henri, I know some people in our USMB family may have heard a little bit of news about your son. And I just would like to give you a chance just to give us an update on what happened, how he's doing, anything that you'd like to share about Emmanuel.
Yeah, actually, the baby Emmanuel is doing good. I wanted to thank our USMB family for prayers and support. He was really a quick hit on actually a week ago. Emmanuel developed a little skin infection, and quickly that infection in less than 24 hours landed us in the emergency room. For the emergency room, we're already admitted in a hospital because they did not want to take a risk with a 4-month baby outpatient. So we have to stay in. The doctors, everybody was great, and the prayers and all that we were doing, God was in our favor. They figured out quickly that infection can be very deadly if it's not dealt with right away. So Emmanuel is now home. He's doing good. We called as outpatient, so we continue with antibiotics and some vitamins just to. He's stable and in a good condition. I love to see him smile again. So, thank you everybody for your support.
Absolutely. Yeah, we just chatted beforehand. When those little kids, when there's something wrong with them, it's just heartbreaking as a parent, especially. So I'm glad to hear you have some good news. That's great.
Amen. Because sometimes you don't know how they're feeling. You have to feel it. You have to see it, and then take control right away. Yeah.
Well, we'll continue to pray for little Emmanuel, and I'm so glad to hear some good news. So thanks for the update.
My brother. Thank you, everyone, and thanks for the support.
Absolutely. Okay, well, Henri, we've got a lot of ground to cover today. So maybe the first step is, if people maybe didn't hear our conversation a couple years ago, can you give just a quick intro and how you landed here in the States and what your what your job is. I know you've got a couple different jobs at the moment. So why you a little bit of your history and what you're up to today.
Yeah, those who don't know me or have heard of me, I am from the Democratic Republic of the Congo. I am a Mennonite brethren. I am a minister. I grew up in Kinshasa, and there we are really one of the largest congregation of Mennonite brethren in the world. God have done so much for us there and continue, regardless of the hardship that Congo is going through to the eastern Congo and a lot of parts of the Democratic Republic. One demand and the blessings we have, strong faith and the engagement of the church to continue to stay in God's will. That's where I came from. In 1994, like I said it before, I was one of the youngest Mennonite brethren to go and assist in the genocide of Rwanda. We received all the refugees coming from the Rwanda at that time, and we were there in an international team, including Mennonite Central Committee. So that way, the God actually opened a lot of doors for me, and I landed in the United States. So immigrants and immigrants' vision from the Lord, it caught me since a young age. And when God gets you on something like Joseph, God will continue to the end. So that's how I landed here. And God have educated me since. And I am married. My wife, Henri Ngolo, and with my children. You heard about the young Emmanuel, who was in the hospital, but have siblings. You have Sovereign. God is sovereign. And you have a sister called Divine. So I tried to name all my kids with divine endings to signify who God is in my life. So, and I think that since then, God has opened a lot of doors to ministry and continue to serve.
Yeah, well, that's awesome. I love your kids' names, man. I love it. That's awesome.
Right.
Way to go. Way to go.
Yes.
So tell me, when did you come to the States? Was that in 94? Or you were still in the Congo in 94? When did you come to the US?
94 was the time that I was really in the Congo. And then the end of that, remember, I was doing my master's degree in missiology in Kinshasa. And I interrupted a little bit my my school and keep writing, but God told me really to obey and go. So I went to the Eastern Congo and I worked with refugees, came back the same year, finished my master's, then the open door in 1995. At the end of 1995, I was already in Akron, Ohio, orientation with MCC. And then after that, I went to Bluffton College, and that's another Mennonite college where I studied the business administration. And after that, you know, the Lord have opened the door since for me to graduate. And I work with numerous businesses. Background education, as you know, I am a marketing manager with Costco. Before that, I was with Sam's Club. And then I've been in the business for a while, and I'm by a vocational minister.
Yeah. Well, okay. So speaking of that, you're a busy guy. So you just mentioned Costco. So are you full-time at Costco? I know you're bivocational. You've got several jobs. So you work at Costco, but you've also got this new job with USMB. So walk us through what your weeks look like.
No, the week look like a blessing. Like I tell a lot of people, it's no blessings come with responsibilities. The thing is that regardless what you do, stay in God's will. The yoke will be easy because God will carry you through. The first ministries we have, all of us, is family. Make sure that within between, find time from the family. Don't be a stranger to your family, because you can be running, you look back, you're running alone. So make sure you stop, look back, make sure the wife is good, the kids are good, and then the church and the ministries are good. So being bivocational, one, the thing is that the first, like Costco is where you earn your living, then you have to serve the Lord who provide overall. So that way the ministry comes in. Really, when you're in God's will, the yoke is easy.
I like that. Very good.
Yeah.
So I think in November you said you just started this new kind of part-time role with USMB. integrated immigrant coordinator is your title. So tell us what does that mean and what do you do?
I think that this is to solidify what we've been doing over 4 or 5 years now with immigrant churches, immigrant community, especially Congolese immigrants in the United States. As we started, I told you that when I was a young man in the Congo, and since I went to the war zone and settled immigrants, and my heart have always been to pray for them because I know how to be in a camp where you got put aside away from everybody because technically you are a stranger and not a nation. So you don't have a home to go to, even though Jesus did not have a home. But they have it hard when they are out there. So I pray for immigrants, and we settle them then in the Congo, and the Lord is calling me to settle them here in the U.S. Just to let you know how the mission can be everywhere you go in the nation is a mission field. So living immigrant in the Congo, I thought I was done with that. I'm going to a business. Then God opened my eyes 4 years ago. I moved from Cleveland to Dayton, Ohio. When I came to Dayton, Ohio, I did not see any Mennonite brethren churches around. And one of the things, like, I will go to churches, but it's not really my family. I mean, sorry to say that.
Right. No, I understand.
My blood,
Sure.
So then I'm start saying, Lord, where are we? Where are we? And most of the time I have to go to Akron, talking about Akron, where you have a lot of Amish, and I spend a lot of time with them. In Cleveland, we have Lehigh Community Church. It's a Mennonite church. Then it was with Pastor Robin. Now it's Pastor Vicky in Cleveland. So from there to here, every time I wanted to go worship amongst my brothers and sisters, I did not see where to go. Then the Lord said, hey, look, everything is a mission field. Look around you. So 4 years ago, I was just seeing that a lot of immigrants from the Democratic Republic of Congo, they came here for the American dream, but the community is so bounded that they always start planting churches. So I'm thinking, okay, those are independent churches. It's no one here really mentoring them. It's no one here caring about them. So what can we do? So I prayed, and I started visiting those churches, and as a good Mennonite brethren, so I cannot be silent. We have a lot to give. We have a lot to really promote in the good values and confession of faith, non-violence, and peace around the world. And we have a loving heart. So I started talking to them about that, and most of the pastors that heard me speak about Mennonite brethren, so wanted to know more. And knowing more, I started organizing pastors meetings. That way we start having more the churches interested to know about Mennonite brethren here in the U.S. Since then, I included USMB, Brother Don, Terion, Brother Rick Ashbaz, all the brothers, Gary Preeb, all of us that really were familiar to the north, and just communicating with all brothers around. That's how we really started. And thank God today we have over 12 or more churches that USMB Mennonite brethren churches. And we have many more are affiliated, learning more about us, who want to become a U.S., a conference, USMB, as brothers and sisters. So because of that, I think that USMB have gave me the task to continue to lead the vision, to continue to lead this movement. This is how this part-time job came.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. And, I think we talked about this a little bit last time, Henry, so I apologize if this is repeated, but hey, that was 2 years ago. So let's just give myself and our listeners a reminder. So you said that there's a lot of Mennonite brethren in the Democratic of the Congo, right? There's a pretty big percentage of the population, or at least considerably, MB background in the Congo. And as many of them are coming to the States, you're finding the Congolese people who have a heart for things that are kind of similar to things that are on our hearts as USMBs. So what do you think? What is it about the MB faith that seems to resonate so well with Congolese people? Is there you kind of mentioned the nonviolent thing? Is that important, or why is this such a good match in your mind?
We do have a lot to offer,
Hmm.
value, and we are the purity of the gospel, to our fidelity to the word. That's one of it. And the second one is that we present, not what the world can give, that loving heart. It's nowhere as a Mennonite brethren that we see people suffer and us to stay silent. We always come alongside those people, and we always make sure that we show God's in them through us.
Yeah,
So
right.
when people sees that, and sometimes people even ask me, "You way too calm and smile. Do you have any moment you're stressful?" But I tell them, I know where I get my water to the source of living, the living God. So that testimony of who we are with us, like Mennonite brethren from the Congo and the places that we in a very difficult and wars and actually hardships
Hmm.
will reason with us to what we offer. Mennonite Central Committee has done a very, very good job about peace camps, about violence, non-violence in the world.
Hmm.
So what we teach people is in their mind and see the Bible, the mission in action. Why
Yeah.
not come
Hmm.
close and to know more? So that would attract a lot of people to us.
Yeah, very cool. And again, I'm sorry if this is kind of an ignorant question, but can you fill us in a little bit on, are there a lot of Congolese people coming to the US right now? And are they kind of settling in Ohio, kind of specific areas, or can you tell us some of that information?
I'm gonna tell you what, Matt, I just came from Malawi just
Okay.
a month ago. We went to Malawi with Dr. Hibbert through a multiply.
Uh-huh.
There we went to encourage the leadership of Mennonite brethren across Africa. So we have a summit in Malawi. You know what most interesting to see that when I got there, almost like it hit me back. We visited some camps, we visited some people, even in the refugee camps. Congolese refugees still plant churches in the Malawi,
Uh,
and those refugees are waiting to come to the States.
hmm.
So the mission is in the U.S. and Eastern Africa. So when they gave me a moment to speak, I just told the pastors there, I said, "You stay in the God's will.
Hmm.
Everywhere you go is mission field. Either you're in the US or you're in the Congo. Why is it mission field? Because we have a lot of refugees gonna come our way. I'm telling you that.
Hmm.
Refugees are coming to the States, and our USMB family, we're ahead of the game, planning and organizing ourselves to see this new era. They do come a lot because I tell you, like the Congo, in average now, they saying over 12 million people have died in the Democratic Republic of the Congo through this war since
Wow.
1994. Those are Congolese.
Wow.
And over 6 million Congolese displaced.
Hmm.
So meaning displaced, they in a refugee camp. They're gonna make their way here. I visited some of them. They're waiting for paperwork. I do not want them to come to the state and get lost in certain environments. This is
Yeah.
why we're trying to create faith-based environments for them.
Yep.
When they land here, they usually, like we talked last time about it, or here in Chicago, for example, they
Hmm.
just work, temporary work from
Yeah.
Chicago, Wisconsin, they will Iowa, from Iowa, they may land up in Maine, but
Hmm.
I can see them more as settling in Ohio because of cost of living,
Yeah.
because the family ties,
Hmm.
and their faith. All those churches are really like growing and they're coming in pods. They have a pastor amongst them who, because of language barriers, because of life itself in the States, it's the American dream, but
Yeah.
it's not the easy dream for an immigrant. So
Right.
they make sure they stay together in the beginning to learn and to know the culture. That's how those churches are getting planted. So technically, the USMB families will coming alongside our brothers and sisters to settle them, to help them. And
Yeah.
then to show them how they can evangelize America. That is coming.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. I mean, it sounds like such a huge opportunity. I love that I think we're kind of planning ahead in a good way to kind of be ready for some more of this to be coming. I know that's a big part of what you're focusing on.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So one of the things you just said is when these families or these collections of people come to the States, and whether they're in Chicago or they get in Ohio or wherever, we talked about this last time, but remind us, what are some of the kind of biggest needs? How can USMB churches help in this? And I know we've started to talk briefly about the Cord program, and I know you're involved with that. So can you tell us about that, and what are just some of the biggest needs that you see?
The course program came to be looking at the needs in the 4 years and evaluating with actually the Congolese task force. That's include Don Morris, myself, Brother Terry, Brother Gary Miller, Doug Hubert, Brother Rex. So we looked into a lot of things. We came up with main 4 points that brothers and sisters that have established churches in the USMB family should be focusing to help refugees and immigrants. One of the first thing in churches that we visited is that all those pastors that come to the state and church plants, one the positive thing is that they felt the calling and they believe they are, immigrant missionaries in the United States. And the churches, when they pray this country as a mission field. So what we wanted to add to that is that those brothers need to have a biblical training. We make sure that they learn our confession of faith, they learn the values, they learn who we are as we come alongside to help them so they can effectively preach, teach, and train their own people. The second thing that we focus in the core is that those brothers struggle with place of worship. So as immigrants, they don't own no buildings. They come here just, they have to find out. One of my mission is to go around, even find where are they? How can they worship? If I find a church that worship in the morning, I go knock on the doors. If they can open the doors for immigrants to worship in the evenings or in the afternoon. Most of them, they work 2-3 jobs and they run job to job to job to make the end meet. So the core program has taken that as a task that we go and then look places of worship. So the third one is that we are in a need of leadership development. Those people, if we want them to be sustainable in the future, the time is now to develop them through education and through scholarships and finding Mennonite Mennonite colleges where they can go to acquire those values. I'm one of the witness, and myself, I just graduated from Table College with a master's degree in Christian entrepreneurship and innovation. Guess what? It have been so great to go back in the Congo and teaching and training. This past summer I went there, I trained over like 34 young men and women in entrepreneurship and innovations.
Oh, wow.
But they're already educated in the Congo, but then they have nothing to do. Right now in the Congo, unemployment is hitting over 90%. So you cannot let those young men with all the tools and sit down. What do you have in your hand? So I'm going back and utilizing that. Even like the Multiply can testify, they just came back for 2-month mission where all those kids were so effective. Amongst them doctors, amongst them teachers, and they just developed the programs. And when they hunger and they want hungry, they want to teach and plan. So same thing, developing leadership here in the States will bring the same results. So it's why we're trying. The core program is focusing on that too. And the fourth one is really, my brother, is to making sure we have strong ties, connection between immigrant churches and USMB congregations. So that way, our pastors here in the US become mentor to immigrant pastors so they can learn from them and to see how they manage. The immigrant pastors are so zealous. they are filled with the Spirit. When
Yeah.
they preach and worship, you see fire. And
Mhm.
then when we're adding to that, how can they become sustainable? So mentors are needed from our brothers and sisters across USMB family to teach
Yeah.
them, train them, and embrace them. Show them love that you are here. So one of the story I tell all the time is about Brother Johnson, who came from Kansas City and went to Congo in 1921. And it's why we are here. Like me, he is my ancestor, right? So
Mm.
I am one of the descendant of his mission. So
Mm.
this is a give back. Congolese churches came to the state to give back, to say thank you for the sacrifices. This core program is that is soul-defying relationship between Congos in USMB Congos in the Congo and now USMB here in the United States. So core, it comes from Ecclesiastic 4:12. So together we are so tied, and
Yeah.
it is unbreakable bond.
Yep.
So this is why we came with the core and word. So that way is in Ecclesiastic 4:12. So
Yeah.
that unbreakable bond and ties that we
Mhm.
have, either in Africa, either in the US, we are, the Mennonite brethren, and we serving to expand the kingdom of God.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. I love that. And I think anytime that we can all work together is a good thing, right? We can always learn from each other. Mentorship is just so important, I think, for both people involved in that relationship, right? So I think that's
Amen.
just a huge win-win. So I'm just kind of curious if there's a Congolese leader or a pastor, whether they're already a pastor or pastor in training, kind of what practically what does it look like? Are they just kind of plugged into like the cohorts? Maybe they're listening to the podcast. Are they actually going to Tabor and Fresno, or like if they need some of that kind of real hands-on training, how do they get that? And what does that look like?
All the above, all the
Okay.
above. To serve the Lord is ongoing school.
Hmm.
School leadership don't end in a classroom. It's in the classroom, and then even in us in business management, management is a vague place where you go learn all the theories, but you have to practice in the field.
Right.
So the above, through podcasts, through a higher education, through all that, those pastors need to be connected to making sure that everything goes well and they are trained.
Yeah. Very good. Awesome. So it sounds like there's a lot of kind of natural ways that we work together really well. Our cultures are similar enough, our belief systems are similar enough that we can probably work together pretty well. But I think it's also important to note that, I mean, the Congo is a different country. It's a different culture. So there are some differences. And I imagine just culturally or just day-to-day life, there are some things that are different that cause challenges, maybe some problems. So what are some of those things as pastors, or if Congolese pastors are getting more involved in America, what are you finding that are some of the kind of hiccups we need to work through, or some difficulties to overcome? What are some of the challenges?
Absolutely, we do have a lot of challenges. The first foremost challenge we have is communication.
Hmm.
Congo is a French-speaking country. When the
We,
brothers and sisters speak and go, they coming here for the American dreams. They come here to look for education for the kids. When the
uh,
country back home is broken, and we're trying to walk through it to fix it, and God willing, and God is doing what He's doing to get the country there. So the language barrier is the first difficult, and we're trying to walk through that by organizing them and finding the resources to make sure they get English as a second language. So, and then in our worship services, since we started working with those pastors, now if you come, I think one day you're gonna come and to see us, or we have interpretation now. Every pastor will preach. The Don Morris, they preach. I'm there interpreting. Everybody have to get involved, so that way we have interpretation.
mhm.
So because of that, we created a movement or a rubric called a second generation. Those are
Hmm.
the kids that come here and quickly to learn English. We're trying to make sure that we get them involved in our churches. So they're the one that are connected quickly than their
Mhm.
parents. Knows English, go to school with American kids and the culture. They learn the culture faster than their parents. When they
Uh-huh.
come home, they become actually the way a lot of parents learn it by speaking with their own kids. Same thing we do in the churches. So the second one is that most of those pastors are bivocational like myself.
Right.
So we juggle a lot to get things moving.
Yeah.
So that's another difficult we are facing. Reason being that every immigrant that comes to this country, we're talking about the American dreams, they have a baggage. So they left people back home that depends on them. And in our church, we have few of those people are making $15 an hour for living here in the US. But meanwhile, they have to pay rent, they have to eat, they have to do all that. So supporting a pastor for those churches is still a challenge.
Yeah.
And those pastors have to go for the living. Then the reality is how many days left in the day to come and care for a church.
Right.
So it's always like they're running after they finish their 5 days working in a warehouse. Then they have a Saturday. On that Saturday, prep for everything for Sunday. When they finish Sunday, then in the afternoon, change clothes, back to work. So that's the difficult that we're facing. And we are really praying that brothers and sisters come alongside these ministries by giving, by supporting. Even if we took over a church and say, hey, we want to support the pastor so that way he can give up his Saturday from the warehouse to just focus on the church. Or we're going to pay a rent for the pastor so that way he can focus on the ministries. Anything that we can do as brothers and sisters to making sure that we keep moving, that'd be great. Those are difficulties that really we're facing. Settling an immigrant in the United States, it takes 5 to 10 years. Like it or not, they move a lot until they come to a place where they find a church, say, okay, now I want to buy a home, or I'm going to rent and put my kids in school. They start settling. So that way we come alongside. If we have anything we can help them with, we do. Myself, I drive my car all over the place. Pick this up and go drop it there and help this person that just came in, orientation, how they can find a job. I usually go look, anybody needs to write a resume, to help them so they can find a stable job. This process alone is a lot of challenges, but the good thing is a blessing. Immigrant churches are the churches of tomorrow in our USMB family. When an immigrant is well settled and assimilated to this culture, they become successful. They become so productive. That's why I'm teaching that we're not a burden.
Right.
USMB churches, we are the church of tomorrow. This is where God is leading us. Truly, He is. Where is the vision is a provision. That's how God works. So it's why we're trying to make sure that we're all in the same accord to what God is doing in the 21st century. Because we can go find those immigrants in Malawi, in the Congo, but this mission in our shores, right? It's right here. So the way we can travel, pay the tickets to go there, the way now God is giving us those people right where we are. So the way we can see it, just to obey the Lord and to do what is right.
Yeah. I like how you said the immigrant church is the church of the future, because there's all this data, all this research that America's going to become more and more bilingual, more and more multicultural, and maybe the next generation is going to look even in that quick of a time frame, it's going to look significantly different than the past couple generations. So it's very important that we do this now. I'm glad you said that. So I imagine if for a family or a pastor who comes here, let's say they pick up English quickly, they're kind of starting to get settled. What are some other just cultural, you mentioned finding a job and transportation. What other cultural things, or maybe even in the church, like how do our churches look different from the Congolese churches, and how can we kind of bridge that gap to make it easier for them to feel comfortable here?
The comfortable is sometimes we have to think outside the box. If we are set in our own way conservatively to do what we know how to do, we're not going to open our doors to anything different. So us as USMB, we're great on looking where the God is leading us, adjusting on the reality of the time. See, this is the reality of our times,
Yep.
either for immigrant or existing churches. So the bond that we have, we serve the Lord is good and the loving God. As long as we love each other, the worship is different. And
Yeah.
except that element of a culture, right? One time, Brother Terry came to my house and my wife cooked fufu from the Congo, right?
Okay.
So then at the table, we had the fufu, we had the plantains. So for Brother Terry Hunt to go eat fufu, he didn't have to pay a ticket to go to Congo.
Right. Right.
He came from North Carolina to Ohio, Dayton, Ohio, and eat fufu for the first time. He looked
Yep.
at it, and he tried it. Great. So since then, like Gary Prieb, who goes to Congo, and Gary Prieb loves to eat fufu with pondu. So, and Brother Terry did not travel to Congo to eat fufu and pondu. So you see how the bond is that either there or here is some element in our cultures are so important for everybody to keep. And even though we come here, they worship that in the Congo. Yeah, next time you will see how we jump and sing and worship the Lord. So that fire that comes from the Congo is needed in the U.S. That good way and stable way of managing churches is needed in the Congolese churches. So this is a win-win, and God in the middle, we're all successful because diversity is how a USMB family or Mennonites are bounded in. So we love our diversity.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love, the concept of diversity and we all coming together. The more diverse our church is, the more it's going to look like heaven, right? And our church, they look a little bit, each of us do things a little bit differently, but all of us have our own strengths, right? We can learn specific things from each other. I just love that is kind of a high priority for USMB right now, because I think it's so important and hasn't really traditionally been a strength of the church, or at least the US church. But I love that that's kind of this chapter that we're in, working together. So I love it.
Yeah, as you know, actually, when I was reading the scriptures in John 17, 20 to 21, do you know one of the things that triggered me that Jesus, he was going to the cross. And instead of thinking about his pain and suffering, in John 17, he took time to pray for the unity of the church. Because he knew times such as this will come.
Yeah.
But 2,000 years ago, he prayed for it. So he said, I quote, that he prayed the unity for the church so that way the world can see. See, I want you to be united as a testimony the world can see. And we are so great practicing John 17, 20, 21 in a bond, in a unity to serve, expand the kingdom of God. That's actually one of the values USMB family is known for.
Yeah. All right, well, Henry, your time is going faster. We need to start wrapping up here. I mentioned at the top, I think, that you just started your position with USMB just a couple months ago. You're just kind of just getting started. But now that we're in 2023, we're kind of looking ahead. What are your goals for this year? What do you see happening in the next year or so? Like, where do you see things going from here?
The main thing really is evaluating churches. 2023, for me in my position, is to evaluate the immigrant churches to see where they are. What can we do together to achieve our goal? The first one is that as we see the struggle in the training is connecting with existing churches, connecting with education institutions, Tebe College, and move to all the universities and the presidents and all that President Johnson, maybe I'll be up in Fresno, to make those connections that will open the doors for the second generation of immigrants to study in a university, for the pastors to find a way to higher education through scholarships, and at the same time to making sure that our pastors are start learning to budget in their churches. We have to learn to manage what we have so we can manage more. That's another evaluation that I am working on, and continue actually to work with other pastors to become mentors to immigrant pastors. So if we can achieve that, because really we have a lot of affiliations waiting for us, And we have a lot of churches, immigrant churches, that are already with us. We got to make sure they become independent, become sustainable, and they can learn the culture to become successful. So really connection is one through training, mentorship, helping those immigrants, evaluating the churches that they meet standards of a church in the United States. Because you know that we are so zealed, and when we see the Lord, we jump and do what we do to celebrate the gospel. And that's the fire we bring to the table. And at the same time, the reality is we have to meet the requirement of this country, licensing pastors, making sure that paper trails, making sure, like me and Don was and Barry Harris, Brian are talking about, making sure that record keeping is on place. So those are the things that, detailed nit-gritties we're trying to put together to make sure that everything goes well. I want to thank the USMB family for what they have done so far with immigrant churches. Continue to pray, continue to support those pastors. We have challenges out there that we put out some fundings that we're trying to put together for those churches through USMB, through the foundation. For any dollar any church will give, it's going to be matched dollar to dollar by our foundation. John Webb, thank you for being there and putting that challenge out. So far, we've seen a lot of people pouring in some financial support. We have a goal of 55,000 or more for this year. So if we can really get out there, God willing, and putting it in your heart, please give. You're going to get more and more as you give to the work of the Lord. So any churches listening to us who can contact the USMB family or the foundation to give to the immigrant churches funds to just expand the kingdom of God, I always say thank you in advance. We love you.
Well, we should just plan it now. We'll have you on next year. We can talk about this again to see how things are growing and changing. And Henry, I'm just so excited to have you on staff. Your leadership is so important, so crucial. So thank you for the work you're already doing and for the things ahead. So grateful to have you on the team. We look forward to hearing more and more stories from you.
You know that, and it's really, for me, this is not a job, it's being part of your family.
Yeah.
Refer me to bring your plate, when like a Thanksgiving to me. So I'm bringing a plate to the family dinner to the table, so that way we can complete one another. I love the team we have so far. I mean, all of my sisters and my brothers, and I'm celebrating the unity of this gospel and the expansion of the gospel in U.S. and the Congo. I'm kind of the bridge, huh? Like, Brother Johnson did. I am leading this pack to making sure God, through us, do what God do. It comes with changes for every century. And this century is that God wants us to look to immigrants. God wants really us as USMB to embrace immigrant churches, embracing them and making sure that, we mentor them so they can become sustainable, they can become successful. As the churches of tomorrow, today is the time to get them ready and embracing them. That's actually the main focus we have through love and kindness.
I love it, Henry. Well, thank you for just the passion that you bring, your experience, and just your heart for ministry. It's just palpable whenever I talk to you. So thanks for spending time with us today, Henry. Really grateful for you.
Hey, you know how it goes. I feel it's not the last time. We're going to continue this. I love being with you and actually encouraging one another so we can expand the kingdom of God.
Love it. Thank you, Henry.
Yeah, brother. Love you too.
The National Pastors Orientation is coming to beautiful San Diego April 17th through the 19th, 2023. This event, sponsored by the USMB Board of Faith and Life, is for lead or staff pastors new to the pastorate or new to the USMB family. Spouses are also strongly encouraged to attend. The NPO offers an excellent opportunity for new pastors to learn about MB family history, theology, and resources. This time spent with leaders and other pastors in our national and district families will provide encouragement and networking opportunities, as well as an opportunity to be renewed, refreshed, and have a little fun. The registration deadline is March 14th. For more information, visit www.usmb.org/NPO2023.
Once again, many thanks to Henry, and I just love the great things that are happening there in Ohio and various parts of the country where we're seeing these immigrant churches come together. And I really think there's just so much potential for us to work together, to serve together, and serve each other to help build up the church. And just so grateful for Henry and his ministry. So, Henry, if you're listening, thank you, my friend, and keep up the great work that you're doing. And to all of you listening, as he mentioned there towards the end there's several ways that we can all work together through the CORD program or through others for us to help each other and to help these immigrant churches kind of get off to a good start. So check out usmb.org. You can find the CORD program there or several other opportunities to get together to work with these new leaders. So I encourage you to check that out. Okay, well, I can't believe it's almost the end of January already, but hope your new year is going well. Thank you so much for listening today. Looking forward to seeing you next time right here on the Lead Pods.
Thanks for listening to Lead Pods. Make sure you don't miss an episode by subscribing to our show wherever you're listening today. Learn more by visiting usmb.org and be sure to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. We'll see you next time as we learn more practical tools to increase our impact together.